Y'all, I spent 48 hours exploring the French Quarters in New Orleans, Louisiana. The first stop I made was Preservation Hall, located in an old carriage house in the center of town. Preservation Hall entertains enthusiastic patrons 360 days a week, playing authentic New Orleans jazz. There is so much history associated with this sacred place, I can't possibly talk about it all in this short video. So I will leave a link down below so that you can read their full history in their own words. What I can say is that I had high expectations before this show. I thought I knew what I was walking into. The truth is, I had no idea. It was better than I imagined, and that's an understatement. If you ever get to New Orleans and you only have time for one activity, Preservation Hall should be that activity.
That was the most incredible music performance of my entire life. I'm speechless. I cried, I laughed, I sang, I danced. It was incredible.
After the show and a full day of travel, I was hungry. So I found a sidewalk cafe to grab a quick bite to eat before my ghost tour. My first night in this town is far from over. We're just getting started, y'all. But first, let's try some fried green tomatoes. My first impression, not my favorite.
I just passed a ghost tour. This guy looked at his partner, I'm assuming his wife, and said, "I'm ready to go drinking." I don't think he was enjoying himself.
It's time to meet up with freewalkingtours.com in Jefferson Square so I can start my long-anticipated ghost tour. If you know, you know. I love a good ghost tour, especially in a historic town like New Orleans. I love all things spooky, unexplained, and mysterious, and this tour was all of those things wrapped up in one. Our tour guide was clever, knowledgeable, funny, and most important to me, authentic. This company operates on a tip-based business model. You pay what you think your tour guide earned. My budget was $20, and I paid $30 because I was so impressed. New Orleans has several remarkable ghost stories, but my favorite is the story of the Casket Girls. When we walked up to the convent of the Ursuline Sisters, built in 1734, I was vibrating with excitement. Don't worry, there's a link below so you can learn more about this fascinating story.
The ghost tour was pretty amazing, but I'm going to talk to you about it tomorrow because it's late and crowded and noisy and chaotic, and I just want to make it back to my hotel in one piece. So I'm going to concentrate on that and talk to y'all tomorrow morning.
In my opinion, you can't go to the French Quarters without going down Bourbon Street at night, at least once. It truly is an iconic place to visit while in the Crescent City. Although not my flavor of fun, I'm glad I explored this festive street.
It's a beautiful morning here in the French Quarters. I made my way home safe and sound last night without any incident. And now I'm walking towards a restaurant, a historical restaurant called Brennans for brunch. And I'm really excited. This is the one big meal that I'm having on this trip. I made reservations, I saved for it, I planned for it. I'm excited about it.
Brennans is another historic masterpiece in the French Quarters, opened in 1946 by Owen Brennan. His mission? To prove that the Irish could cook more than just a potato. This restaurant created breakfast at Brennan's and the Banana Foster, locking his place into culinary history. I mean, who hasn't heard of a Banana Foster? The ambiance was impeccable. The famous turtles were charming, and the waitstaff was amazing. The attention to every detail made me feel like a queen from the time I walked through the historic doors until the moment I re-emerged onto Royal Street. And I haven't even talked about the food yet. It was worth every shiny penny. I'm not sure I can ever go to New Orleans again without first stopping at Brennan's.
There is so much to see in this area of New Orleans that you could just get whiplash trying to see it all. Right now we're headed to the trolley so we can make our way down to the Garden District.
The historic St. Charles streetcar is something everyone told me I needed to experience, so of course I took it to get down to the Garden District. What a perfect way to enjoy such a beautiful day in this magical city. My mistake was getting off too early, so I missed most of what Magazine Street has to offer as far as antique shopping was concerned. Next time, I will take the trolley all the way to the end and spend a day walking back, exploring all of the shops and restaurants this part of the city has to offer. But when you have 48 hours, you gotta carry on.
All right, we had one short trolley ride and we've made it to the Garden District with all of these beautiful mansions and Cemetery number 1, which is our very first stop today. It's a bit noisy and a bit windy, so I'm using my microphone to try and make the sound as high quality as I can with my limited resources. So let's go check out the cemetery and see what other kind of trouble we can get into.
Fun fact about New Orleans above-ground cemeteries. Most of the tombs seen around New Orleans are owned by individual families and can hold a vast amount of people. This is possible because they are operated as slow-burning furnaces. A body is placed on the top of a shelf in the tomb for a year and a day to properly execute the cycle of from ashes to ashes and dust to dust of Judeo-Christian doctrine. After this period, the body is either pushed to the back of the tomb or removed and placed in the bottom section. Due to the high humidity of heat in the area, the bodies are slowly cremated over the course of 50 to 60 years. Multiple generations can be held in each individual tomb, sometimes totaling up to 60 people or more.
Okay, so let's talk about more macabre things, such as vampires. I am a huge Universal Monster fan, and Dracula is one of my favorite monsters. I mean, they're all my favorite. Like, how do you choose? It's like choosing a child. But I think Frankenstein's probably my favorite. Maybe Swamp Thing? Anyway, let's talk about Dracula. So, Anne Rice, the mother of New Orleans vampires, is buried in this cemetery. And across the street is a bookstore that she used to sign her books in and have book release parties. And apparently, she would start off this book tour or book release party by going to her family crypt in this cemetery, getting into a coffin dressed in white, and having herself paraded to the bookstore as if she was dead with a bunch of mourners. Talk about macabre. In order to sign her new book. And so that bookstore is at the corner of this cemetery, and we're going to go there next. I have coffee with chicory in it that I'm going to try for the first time. It's a New Orleans thing, and you got to try it. I just enjoyed some coffee at the Chutney Cafe. It's attached to the bookstore that I bought that I bought Interview with a Vampire in, because of course, again, if you've been following me for a while, you know that when I travel, the souvenir that I like to take home with me is a book, either about the place that I'm in or from an author that's from the area, and extra credit points if it's paranormal, true crime, or fantasy. So I'm in New Orleans. What other book would I buy except for Interview with a Vampire? The signed copy was $480, so I just got the regular one. But I'm excited to add it to my library, and of course I got a postcard to use as my bookmark. So that's really special. Now that I've had a little something to drink, charge my phone, use the bathroom, I am making my way down to Magazine Street, where it is like the shopping mecca, apparently. And we're in search of one thing and one thing only, and that is antique or vintage Mardi Gras beads that used to be made out of glass from the Czech Republic. And in the 1960s, I think, they banned the glass beads from being thrown because they're too heavy and they were creating problems, so they switched to plastic. If I can find a strand of antique beads, that would be the most epic souvenir to bring home. But if I can't, that's okay too. We have about an hour and a half to spend down here looking through antique shops. Okay, I found glass beads, but they were high up in a tree, so let's be more specific. I would like to find some glass beads to buy and take home with me. I love that the universe gives me exactly what I ask for, and then I'm reminded that I have to be more specific. Okay, y'all, I have struck out on Magazine Street as far as purchasing antique Mardi Gras beads, and I've run out of time, so I gotta go. This is what happens when you are only in a city for 48 hours and you have a budget and you're committed. Sometimes you gotta let things go, and that's what I'm doing. I'm letting it go. What do y'all think about my new hat? With the feathers? I just bought this from the hat company. Let's see, Meyer, the Hatter since 1894. Woo! Hey friends, I just finished my first po' boy. It was good. Nothing to write home about. I had the blackened shrimp po' boy, and my stomach is full, so let's be grateful for that. My feet, on the other hand, are so tired. I've walked about 7 miles today. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I have 4 hours until the concert, and the whatever inside of me is like, go, 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 you still have 4 hours to see stuff. But my body is like, dude, you need to lay down. You need to find a stoop and sit, which is what I've done. So I'm trying to work on not being frustrated with myself, because there's still so much to see and I am out of juice.
I was able to rally, making my way down to the Faulkner House located on Pirates Alley. To be honest, I'm not familiar with William Faulkner's work, so you guessed it, I bought one of his books to add to my collection. Mosquitoes, published in 1927, is a novel which came highly recommended to me by the man working at the small bookstore located inside of this old house. Although he did not write this novel while living in New Orleans, it is about the city he called home for a short while.
I had time to take a little bit of a rest and get all dressed up, because now we're gonna go see Stevie Nicks in concert live right now. I arranged this entire trip just so I could see Stevie Nicks in concert. I'm not usually a person who attends concerts. However, after several of my favorite artists unexpectedly died, I felt the need to see who I could before it was too late. Stevie Nicks is at the top of that very short list. She played most of her iconic songs, and some that she wrote just for New Orleans.
She told stories in between each song about working with Prince and Tom Petty, making it feel like I was sitting in her living room, reliving the glory days of rock and roll.
This next song was a gift from Tom Petty in 1981. Stop Dragging My Heart Around. Thank you, Tom Petty.
When she finally said goodnight, I knew in my heart she wasn't done yet. There had to be an encore. And then it happened. If you know what's about to happen in this venue. People went fucking crazy, including yours truly. Unfortunately, that's all I can share with you due to copyright laws. What I can share with you is that she played for another 30 minutes, ending the show singing Landslide, a song that was played at my father's funeral. I lost my mind. I closed my eyes and just let the sound vibrations wash over me. When the house lights finally turned on, I knew I had made the right decision, coming all the way across the country just to see Stevie Nicks play in person.
It's our last day here in the Big Easy, and I have 5 hours before I need to go to the airport. All of my previous plans have been canceled, so we're just gonna see what kind of trouble we can get into.
The French Market was a place I was told by several people I had to visit while on this trip. I figured this morning would be a great time to do it since it was a bit drizzly outside, and this was a covered market. This market has been in operation since 1791, open daily from 10 to 6, offering its visitors local food, art, and souvenirs, and of course, jazz. It was a wonderful place to spend a rainy morning. Fun story. I knew the Great Mississippi River was next to the French Quarters. I could see it on the map, but I couldn't see it while I was wandering around. When I finally worked up the courage to ask what I knew was going to come off as a stupid question, a very kind local pointed to a staircase and told me to go up.
That's the French Quarters. Ooh, it's so blustery. That's the French Quarters right here. And just a hop, skip, and a jump away is the Mississippi. It is cold today and windy and blustery, but I'm going to go ahead and walk a little bit on the river walk because it's one of the things you should do while you're here. I think it's really perfect when you're traveling and you're getting a little tired and your feet hurt and you're running out of money, and then the clouds come in and it gets cold and windy and all you want to do is go home and cuddle up. It means it's time to go home and cuddle up, which is making it a lot easier for me to leave New Orleans after just a short 48 hours.
Before I made my way to the airport, I wanted to make sure I visited the Louisiana State Museum in Jackson Square. This museum has 2 permanent exhibits. The first floor is dedicated to the history and artifacts of Hurricane Katrina. The curators of this exhibit did an amazing job telling the story of a horrific catastrophe. It brought up emotions of fear, terror, hope, and resilience for me, and I left this space feeling a lot of things I wasn't expecting to feel. The second floor is dedicated to Mardi Gras. We all know about Mardi Gras in New Orleans, but I had no idea about Mardi Gras in New Orleans. The history, the art, the culture, the community surrounding the celebration is inspiring. Maybe someday I'll be able to attend. I certainly hope so. I was quickly running out of time and getting hungry, so I hopped over to the Gumbo shop located on St. Peter Street. This historic restaurant has a vegan menu. That's right, my friends. I was able to enjoy vegan gumbo. I was so excited I asked the server to bring me one of each item off of this vegan menu, and I was not disappointed. 48 hours is not long enough to explore this amazing city, but I certainly got a healthy taste of the history and culture that makes this place so special. There is so much to see and do outside of the French Quarters. I can't wait to come back and see it all. So with that in mind, I would like to raise a glass in this historic bar to 48 amazing hours in the Crescent City. I can't wait to return. Cheers! If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to me in the comments below. I love chatting with y'all. And as always, thank you for joining me on another amazing adventure.